Hello, this is Steve Fontano. Today I'll be sharing the Hololive deck I've been playing for the past 2 months or so. I got top 8 in NA National this past weekend with the deck. Pretty happy with the current build so far. So here's an overview of the deck. So what's important to take away from this here is the level 0 count and the color count. The climaxes are not included in the color count. So I currently have 17 level 0s. Yellow and blue being the primary color, and I'll have red at 12 cards. Here it's also showing the trigger count because I'm playing choice, but it doesn't really affect my deck building unless I'm playing 8 choice. Anyways, with that in mind, I'm going to go over all the cards in the deck in a similar order to how I would build the deck. So first we have Subaru here. Usually I will build a deck starting with the climax combo, but this deck is kind of different. So there is a level 1 Katsuya for 1 or higher cards. The requirement is to have blue in your level zone, so this instantly locks you to play yellow and blue level 1s. Yeah, Katsuya is very strong. I don't really think I need to explain how good it is. Now, although Subaru only grabs 1 or higher cards, so you need to kind of keep in mind how many level 0s you're playing, but also help with you getting events. So we're playing a level 3 event here, so it's going to help grabbing it. Currently I'm playing 4 Subaru in the deck because of color. I barely have any yellow level 0, so a lot of times I will level this. The deck has enough card selection to play this at 3, but I would recommend adding more yellow 0 to do so. So the next card is still not a climax combo. This Shion is a tap self Bringstorm 5. I don't think Bringstorm 5 can break the game, but this card here does have the merit to keep it down. It doesn't stand your 1 less in clock. However, they did print a card that can stand this card, which I will show after this. And the third effect is a level swap effect, but it doesn't really come out very often. So I'm playing 3 copies of Shion right now because I'm playing 1 Matsuri Bringstorm. I think 4 back row is enough, but if you want 5 back row, you can also play 4 copies of Shion. I got asked a few times why I don't play Hololive Marine, and then the main reason is because I'm playing Akatsuki and Bringstorm 5, and you can't play either one in the Hololive Marine build. Now I'm building Hololive around Akatsuki and Bringstorm 5, not Marine. And back in the day, there was a Cinderella Girl TP player that really inspired me. I really thought Akatsuki and Bringstorm was the best thing. So the next card here is Aqua. Aqua is the card that can stand Shion. So the first effect is on play, you top check top or bottom. If you're 1 less in clock, you can stand a Hololive character. And then the other effect is on play, reveal top character, add ditch 1. So you basically have to play this with Bringstorm 5. It essentially gets rid of the demerit of the Bringstorm 5 as long as you can have this in hand. It even has synergy with the Bringstorm, as you can go through 2 more cards before you Bringstorm. The only time it doesn't work is when you have 1 in clock, then you clock return. In that situation, you'll need to pick between clock or Bringstorm. There's also a crazy play if your Bringstorm is already standing. You can Bringstorm, play the stand of Bringstorm, and then Bringstorm again with the same Bringstorm. I'm currently playing 3 copies. I used to only play 2 copies with Watame combo. Watame was able to grab this card way more often, but with Korone combo, I prioritize searching this card a bit less. And the deck 1 searches have less target too, so I increase it to 3. Honestly, this is never a brick card, it's always good to draw. Next, we're going to talk about the climax combo. I mean, this event's basically part of the Marine combo. So it's a 3-4 event, you ditch 3 Hololive characters, then you can burn 4 twice. So I always play 3 copies. Katsuki can grab this, Marine can grab this. Not much problem here. Next we have Marine on level 3 combo. So on play, you stack a card, then you check 3, and you add 1 to hand, add 1 to stock. And then the climax combo is on attack, pay 1 ditch Hololive, burn 2, and gets 2k for the turn. At first glance, it's just like a normal burn 2, and it doesn't even heal. When's the last time a good deck doesn't play healing finishers like Tula Vu? But the unplay effect looks like draw 2 ditch 2 stock one variant, but unplay you usually sack a back row that you had, and so you get a hand back. So if you don't need your back row next turn, because you're gonna win this turn with Marine, you basically plus 1 hand. So in that case, this card is a 1 cost, and then you check 3 plus 1. So it's just very efficient, and then check 3 makes getting a CX very consistent. The usual setup is that you need 6 stock, 8 hand in the beginning and main phase, assuming you have 2 back row, and you can do double Marine plus 3/4 event for a total of 7 attacks. 8 hand might sound like a lot, but if you have more than 6 stock, you can bring someone 5 from 1 hand, and even if your bring someone 5 doesn't give you 9 hand, if you're only missing like 1 hand, you can look to trigger climax on the first or second attack for the last combo. And sometimes if you're having a bad game with very low hand, don't worry, you can triple Marine with just 4 stock. So you can bring someone for hand or more Marine and do 6 attack with just 4 stock. And the games that you need to stock swap, you can stock swap plus double Marine with just 5 stock. Overall, executing Marine combo is very consistent. You can look to combo every game and never need to heal as a backup plan. For a level combo with Korone, so on play it gets 500 per. As Climb on attack, you choose a character and then gets on reverse search. So remember our Subaru, we can only pick yellow or blue level 1 combo. So here we're picking Korone. Korone can out to 8k with climax, and you can stack all the searches on 1 lane. So getting reverses is never really a problem. The combo is decent enough to loop on deck 2 as well. The other combos you can play are Watame and Pekura. I played Watame for quite a while. The biggest strength of Watame is deck 1 speed, so if you're aiming to cancel more, deck 1 speed is very important. The reason that I switched to Korone is that force mill after deck 1 is really frustrating sometimes, making me not wanting to loop Watame. Korone is much easier to play, and having a strong win con at level 3 makes me not need to rely on cancel as much. I think Watame is more appealing in memory focused deck. That's why Pekura, I never really tried the card. The upside of the card is big on defense, so you can put more pressure on your opponent. The downside is the lack of card selection from 4 pick 1 and pan trigger. I think the card can work, but I don't recommend it in particular. And those are the core 6 cards of the deck. So next we're going to move on to the staples, starting with the level 3s. So the first staple here is Matsuri. The biggest reason to play yellow in Hololive is a stock swap, the best catch-up button in the game. So you play 1 staple in every deck, and then the second power effect never comes on in this deck. Next is Reset early play. So you have 4 or more characters, it's early play, and then you can play without color. On play you get 500 per other, and on play you can ditch 1 heal stock. So the 2 main reasons to play this is 1 is to push damage as a 2 soul beater, 2 is to heal so you don't die when your opponent hits 3 first. Heal stock is actually very taxing on hand, and you need hand more than stock at level 3, so I don't aim to loop this card. 2 copies of this will be fine. The additional copy is so that you can put 1 in level zone if you need to, and you have an easier time getting a second copy if you need to. Also, this is only heal in the deck. So next we have double Shrink Ayame. So if you have yellow and blue in level zone, you can really play this. All your other Hololive gets 15, then on play, you can do the follow action twice. You choose a level 1 higher character your opponent has, and then they swap it with a lower level in their waiting room. Not sure if I should call it a staple, but I've always gave it 1 deck slot when my deck meets an early play condition. This card can single-handedly win you some matchups. You'll need it against Sinful Gear, Nexal decks, and some standby decks. With standby matchups, you can destroy like Mushoku's board completely. But for decks with hand on core, it doesn't really do that much. It'll only be like a win more play. Otherwise, this is a deck card in most 1k line matchups. I love this card a lot actually. A possible replacement is Watame play. The biggest downside is that I need to top check. I will talk about it with the next card. So this is Flare and Dachi. The other Aqua does the exact same thing. And with the color count so close between yellow and blue, it doesn't matter which one you pick. I actually always thought Dachi was staple until I was recording this video. I realized I don't really play this card outside of standby matchups. 1k1 decks don't really roll with early play heals anymore, so they're very little decks. And there are very little decks that play anti-change counter either, so I can always trade using Suisei early play. Playing Flare is a stock commitment, and it doesn't help with pushing damage. This deck is not playing the long game with heal loops, so my goal is to aim to push more damage and the game burning. I think I'm trying Watame instead. Watame is a hard removal, it pushes damage and forces an empty lane. The obvious downside is that top check miss is very punishing, so you'll likely need to commit additional resources to top check first. This really just shows Hololive really has a big card pool to work with. I just said Hololive's card pool is big, but we're moving on to posting zeros, and Hololive doesn't have 3-5 on it or Riki, so we're playing this 3-5 Aqua. So it's 3-5 is the middle slot, and when it goes to waiting room, you can pay 1 clock from waiting room. You check top 2, then add up to 2 Hololive characters. The posing effect, this posing effect used to be on level 0 2Ks and wasn't really played, but then they put it on bombs and like beaters like this. The slot efficiency really made the difference. Effect is even better when you have free hand fakes that are Katsu. This card is just good going first and second. Going first, you can aim to tri-lane the turn after whether it dies or not, and going second really helps recovering your hand from swinging it twice. The weakness of this card is you can be outed by bombs. Usually in that case, you'll need to recover your hand with Brings on Fire instead. Next I have Miko. It's a drop surge, and then it gives your opponent pay 2 encore. It's a 3-5 beater. It's the best red level 0 by far, so we're playing this in order to play Marine. This card is just slot efficient. It's a beater at 0 and scales later with its utility. Aqua can take care of mid lane, and then Miko can take care of the side lanes. Currently my red count's at 12, so I don't feel like I need to increase it more. My beater count's at 8 with 4 Aqua, 1 Xianbon, and 3 of this. As for replacement, Choco is double utility with mill 3 and drop salvage. Play 1 Choco is good if you want to drop Akatsu through 3. Either way, I think you should at least play 2 Miko. The other is splash here is Nene. Nene on play can pay 1, ditch 1, check 3, add a card. And once reversed, you have 2 dollars memory, you can send this card to memory. I'm playing 2, but if you want to play a 4th Miko, you can also cut this card. The main use of this card is to dig CX. I think it's worse to not have a climax in hand than to have the wrong CX in hand. This deck posting enough without using a climax combo, you would just need to spend more stock. That's why I don't play the Watame CX swap. Other common use for this Nene is to swing empty, because it goes to memory for free after. I've not tried Hachong out, but on paper it mills 3 for free and you can grab CX like Nene. The timing is very bad, but I have considered replacing 2 Nene with 2 Hachong several times. Then next we have Matsuri Bringstorm, so you can pay 1, tap self Bringstorm, salvage. Then you can tap this card to give a 1 high 15 for the turn. So I'm currently playing 3-1 split with Shion and Matsuri. I think 4 Bringstorm for back row is a good number. You don't need Matsuri all the time. The salvage option and power is convenient. Usually I always look for a Matsuri as the second Bringstorm. This card feels very stacked with double Bringstorm back row. The power effect is not game breaking, but it's very convenient. Having access to search and salvage Bringstorm is also very convenient. Xion Bringstorm 5 is still the priority, that's why this is at 1. And here we have our last level 0 Xianbon. So on play, you top check. If it's 1 higher, you can choose the 1 or lower your opponent has, and it gets -1 level for the turn. And it's a level 0 bomb deck bomb. So can bomb level 1s if you hit your top check. It's basically another standby tech to outwall one hand encores. Other than that, you can also out opponents' level 0 utility like memory cards or undead Takatsu. You'll need to know your opponent's card to play this card though. So a replacement either to consider is Korone Anti-Run. That card is much more well-rounded and I think it's very good in the Kaguya meta. So if you're playing English format, you can consider playing 2 Korone instead. So that was 17 level 0. I am really trying to not play more than 18 zeros. And here we have Polka. Some play you can pay 1 spawn cost 0, and then goes to memory end of turn. Grand plus 1 is very efficient, it's selected plus, although it doesn't have much synergy with Korone comparing to Watermelon combo. Usually you want to do this after your first level 1 turn to keep up hand. You can loop Korone with it too. The problem with this card is red, so it looks like you're playing tricolor ones. Although I kind of treat this card like a level 2 card, so it's not that big of a deal. But it does happen sometimes I don't have red, so I have to end up clocking this. So what do you do if you don't play Polka? You can just bring someone for hand. Bring someone's downside is this variance. If you hit too many, you'll need to spend resources to mill again. If you don't hit, you commit more resources to plus in other ways. Polka is easier and more consistent, assuming you have the colors. All the times when I'm low on hand, I will search this with Korone combo. This is Coco, so let's get 2k on your turn, and then on attack and pay 1 to drive. So best level 1 to play when you don't have a combo, also the best target for Polka to spawn in this deck. I used to play 2 Watermelon combos, I didn't want to loop Watermelon, so I just grabbed this instead. But Korone is loopable, so you don't search this as much. This is a good stock out. It's like the best thing to do when you trigger first on the turn before. Another Polka target people play is the 1 mel. If you use an act, you can coin flip for a stock. Even though Bring Someone 5 can tap for free, I don't really like risking it not standing a turn after. This deck is a little pretty light on stock, so I think coin flip for stock is pretty whatever. And Twin Drive offers much more utility, so I would always keep this as 1 at least. Then the last card in the deck is Lucia. So you can play this card without color. On play you can sack another card to top check, so Hololive can add it to hand. Then it's on attack and give another character 500 times other. I only added this card in after I swapped to Korone combo. I want to add more power pumps just in case. The main reason I picked Lucia is because it's level 1, so you can grab Lukatsu. Being level 1 really makes the difference. However, the power pump hasn't come up much for me, so I don't think the card is really needed. I pump power way more with Matsuri Brainstorm, so I think if you really need more power, you just play 2 Matsuri Brainstorm and have 5 back rows. The problem with that is the 0 count, which I've been trying to keep it down for Lukatsu. As for the sack effect, it doesn't really come up. A lot of times I just play Lucia without doing the effect. And then the best play you can do with that is to sack the 3-5 Aqua, and then you can +2 out of it. So now that you know all the cards, I want to talk a bit about the colors. So at level 1, ideally you want level blue, and then usually level blue with the 3-5 Aqua, because it goes to clock by itself. So when it goes to waiting room, it just clock itself on waiting room. So usually that's how you get blue consistently. And then you level blue to clock yellow, because all you want it's like yellow. You need yellow to combo. But in a situation where you hit 1-0, I will level yellow, because you still need yellow to play combo. It's more important than turning on your Katsuki. So you just combo that turn, and then if you need a Katsuki the turn after, either you hit level 2 to level blue, or if you're still level 1, you can level swap to do a Katsuki. So in that case, when you level yellow, it's recommended to level the 1-0 Subaru, because when you level swap, you can swap Gen 2 cards. So if you level Subaru for it. But it doesn't really come up that much, because if you level yellow, you just wait until level 2 to do a Katsuki. Like, you don't really need to do a Katsuki a lot of times. And then, assuming you level blue at 1, I recommend to level red at level 2. Because red's a lower count than yellow. And then, if you really need yellow for some reason, you can swap the blue color in level zone, which is usually the aqua, with a yellow color. So if you really break down color, you can at least do that. The only color you can swap with red is Ayame. So you only need Ayame in waiting room if you somehow break down red. So I recommend just level blue, then level red, and then always have yellow in clock. Then that's all I have to say about the deck. Hope you can give it a try like John here. So my friend John here, shout out to John at Simping Donuts. I gave him my deck list 3 days before WGP, and then he got top 16 with it. If anything, he had a better record than me with 5-1 until losing to a eventual champion at top 16, whereas I made it to top 8, my record is 5-2. That's it for this deck profile. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you.